What's up, Denver? Chris Lopez here, and we have a great apartment building that we'll be talking about today. It's a 41-unit apartment building that Brandon Kaufman with Kaufman Hagan is listing the property. Now, on episode 326, I introduced you to Kaufman Hagan, which is a new commercial shop around town, and also Brandon. If you not hear that, I would definitely recommend going back and listening to it, because you get to know Brandon and also to know some differences about the core values and how Kaufman Hagan is doing things a little bit differently around town for commercial brokerage. And part of that, Brandon, is how you and us are listing these properties, because we got some not normal things we're doing with properties, which is cool.
Yeah, no, it's really exciting stuff.
Yeah. So tell us about, before we get into the property, give us an overview about the marketing of this.
So yeah, going into the marketing, I mean, it is a little bit different. Like there's obviously so many different things you can do, so much time you can spend on it, as well as, you can only get so creative with it. But, working within that box of marketing a commercial real estate property, an apartment building, I mean, I think we have designed an incredible team. You have been a huge part of it, to be able to, put this out to the masses, put a property out to the masses and get the absolute most eyes on it with a lot of care and attention to it. Through that, we're doing obviously customized OMs. We're sending out postcards, the bread and butter of doing cold call campaigns. But then going beyond that, we're obviously doing this podcast, which is entirely different. I'm not a podcast guy. This doesn't necessarily get me going in the sense, but I do it, and just to market the property as best I can, get it out to as many eyes as I can. We do a customized website for these properties. We do videos and, running digital ads as well. So I guess the whole intent of marketing the property is to drive the most action, all the while getting, a clear, concise message out to investors, before we ever even get on the phone, just because the demand's so high in Colorado for these properties that, if I would spend days on the phone, just giving the pitches, telling people about the property. So I want people coming into our conversation with a really clear idea of what this property is, what this investment is, before we ever talk details, and we can just talk structure of the deal moving on.
Yeah. And that'll be a big part of the podcast. I mean, we'll get a couple 100,000 eyeballs on through digital ads. So lots of attention and lots of that initial overview on the property. Mm-hmm. All right. So Brandon, talk to us about the building. Mm-hmm. What are the details?
So as you mentioned, it's a 41 unit. It's a Denver address, Northwest Denver, the 36 corridor, fully renovated, fully turnkey. It is a good mix of townhome units, 1-bed studios, 2-bedroom units, very clean, and it's being delivered at a really good cap rate. So I mean, high level, it works. It checks the boxes for a lot of investors.
So what's the story behind the property? Because as we get the numbers, give us a little story about, because I know it's been repositioned, lots of work has been done on there, and there's some really good investors that this will be a great property for their portfolio. But give us the story behind it.
Sure. No, so this owner, he bought it, with the full intent of holding it for a long time. So when he went in and did these renovations, he did them at a very high level, high quality, to where, he's not personally having issues with it 4 or 5 years down the road. And he's creating, a system and a property where there's going to be low repairs and maintenance. There, there's not going to be a ton of turnover. There's going to be tenants that want to stay there, and they're not going to have issues with that building. The reason for the sale is his circumstances have changed. He's grown extremely rapidly. And so, 41 unit, to manage that, when he's working on much larger assets, it doesn't make sense at this point. So he's trading up into some other things. He found his other up leg. He's a motivated seller in that sense. Obviously, the market's going to drive the price on it, but, that's the reason for selling.
What are some the renovations that he did? Because I know there's been a lot of capital invested. Can you give us the idea on the number and some of the high level renovations?
Yeah, I mean, over $1 million went into this property: landscaping, roofs, windows, boilers, everything that an owner doesn't want to deal with. all new hallways, all new lighting, every unit turned over. Really nice renovations. His background is single family house, and so he brings a lot of those elements, from a primary residence into apartments, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of like renovated products are paint the cabinets and put new hardware on the cabinets.
Oh, these units are gorgeous.
He ripped them down. He gutted them. All new electrical. Essentially just, limit the headaches. So for someone, buying this, everyone is always like, I'll sell my property if you can find me something, that matches my current cash flow or is a better position for me. And I mean, this is an ideal property for someone to trade, something they've owned for 15, 20 years, maybe is starting to have some deferred maintenance they don't want to take care of, and put more money back into their property. This is a great opportunity for them to sell, move it into this, and just put third-party management into it, and just, cash flow tremendously. I think the NOI on this is like $492,000 with where debt is at today. I mean, that's life-changing money,
Yeah. And so what's the purchase price on this building?
$8.8 million.
Okay, so $8.8 million. So what's the 25, 30% down payment? What's kind of the going rate people need to be bringing for capital?
I mean, 25 is safe at this point. This is going to be, you can get agency debt on this, so it's going to be pushed to, you can put 20% down on here and really leverage it. I think the debt coverage, is going to be over 1.25 here, at that 8.8 million at 20% down. So people should feel really safe in leveraging this, especially, these rents that they're getting right now, they're modest rents, a one bed at $1,350. So, compare that to downtown, which is 10 minutes away, the Highlands, which is 10 minutes away from this. You're looking at north of $2,000 for a one bedroom like this. So, these tenants are going to be stable. It's in the path of progress, and there's not going to be a huge fluctuation in terms of returns here.
So it sounds like, this is going to be a truly turnkey asset.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can park the money in there, minimal headache, but then kind of just ride the wave of growth and increasing rents and just bump up rents over the next couple of years, and as the market goes up, and just increase your cash flow. Is that
absolutely
okay?
Yeah, if you just take an aerial view of Denver and look at a map, and obviously once again, 10 minutes from downtown, 10 minutes from the Highlands, 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't sell listing in Sloan's Lake and Edgewater, and people are just like, oh, I don't love that area. But if you just look at a map, you're like, that's the first thing west of downtown. Stapleton, this has Midtown growth, which is, the next Stapleton. Residential just pouring out that way, beautiful communities and great retail. And just looking at Stapleton, people, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, are like, oh, no, that's Commerce City.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to buy an apartment over there. And now, Lowry, Stapleton, that's all completely developed and established. And that's what this is going to be. So people are always asking, what's the next area? This still has a Denver address, and it's only going to improve. And smarter people than me are putting a lot of money in this area.
All right. And what do you think? What's at the asking price around 8.8? What's the rough cap rate?
It's approaching 5.75. I think we're sitting right at a 5.6. Obviously with
wow.
Yeah, it's above market cap rate. We'll see where it ends up trading at, just because I think it will, at the end of the day, get compressed. I think with the amount of demand there is, I think it might, the price might be driven up. But with that being said, I think it's still going to be a really attractive cash flowing asset at the end of the day.
All right. And I know you're getting all the final details in place for, listing this place and marketing it as we are recording this. But what's the rough timeline on when offers are due, and how can people get more details on the property?
Mm-hmm. So we're going to take this to market in the new year, go through the full marketing process, be patient with it, make sure everyone has a shot at it, make sure everyone, coming off of the new year has all their ducks in a row in terms of, let's say they do want to, run parallel with selling their property and moving into this. We don't want to take anything off the table. Once again, we want to drive the most possible offers we can to this property and give everyone a fair shot at buying it. So, end of January is probably when we'll do our call for offers and work through it, and probably be under contract early February or so.
Okay, and we'll put the details in the show notes so we can have a little more exact timeline in there, and of course, Brandon's contact details. If people want a copy of the OM, where can they get it at?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, khcommercial.com. We have all our listings on there. Obviously, email me directly at bkaufman@khcommercial.com. But yeah, again, happy to get on the phone with anybody, walk through the deal, send the OM out, tour them, all, the whole show.
I love it. All right. So as we wrap this up, who do you think the ideal investor or ideal buyer is this property? Or is there
There's
one?
just so much. Yeah. I mean, there's so much demand. Everyone has their different reasons for wanting to enter the Denver market. I mean, I do think it's someone that has been actively managing their current property and maybe just wants a reprieve and a relief and just like move on from the grind of managing their assets and just wants something clean that they are going to make a lot of money on and just, be able to hold and let the market, take them for a ride all the while, cash flowing, which is so rare at this point. If you ask anybody who's, investing often in Denver, they're like, cash flow really doesn't exist. And this is something where it truly does. So I think that's the most exciting opportunity with this asset.
All right. And of course, any, owners or investors out there who have some properties they want to trade out of, reach out to Brandon and your team, because you've put together a great team on there. They'll help you figure out the numbers, the scenarios, and help quarterback the whole deal, because I've seen you guys already do some of that. And hats off to you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job. Right. So definitely, if you guys have interest, reach out to Brandon and his team. So if you guys want more details, go to the website, down the OM. It will be in the show notes. If you guys have questions, reach out to Brandon. And as we wrap this up, this is something I'm very excited about, because this is one of the bigger goals of KH, which is challenging the status quo of how properties are being marketed in commercial. So I'm excited to be doing podcasts. We'll be doing many more podcasts in the future, Brandon, with everyone over there, talking properties, doing some digital ads. I'm very excited to play in that space and see what magic we can make happen.
Absolutely. No, this is going to be a really great opportunity to bring marketing into apartments like this.
Great. All right. Listeners, viewers out there, have questions, all the details in the show notes. Brandon, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having me.